Zenna Hodge, welcome back to the podcast. It's so good to have you.
Hi, thanks for having me. It's been a while.
It has been a while. And as we get started, you know I have to do this. Please like, subscribe to YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. Also leave us a review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. We'd really appreciate it. That being said, Zenna, love having you back. It's been a long time.
Thank you.
Yeah, so we have some things to talk about here because you've progressed a lot in many different ways. Yeah. So people know you are an actress, you're a makeup artist, you are all things arts.
It's a good way to put it.
Yeah, which I totally love. But there's a lot going on in the industry right now. I kind of want to hit on this. We're going to hit on a few things because you also went on a really cool trip that I think seems like it impacted you pretty well.
Yeah, it changed my life.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about that. But I really want to get into what's happening with, it's SAG, right?
Yeah, SAG and WGA, the Writers Guild.
So people understand there's the strike that's going on right now. Like for me, we'll just say like the layperson, right, who's not in the industry.
Yeah.
I put water on fire.
Yeah.
Okay. This strike is very important.
Yes.
And what's happening, right? Can you kind of explain some of that?
Yeah. So, oh my gosh, there's so much that goes into it, but basically it started with the writer's strike because a lot of this is over residual income. And streaming services and streaming platforms. And then now SAG has striked, which is the actors union. And oh my gosh, I don't even know where to start with this. It basically is over residuals. So like when you used to watch, like say Friends, when Friends was airing live on TV, on cable, you got, depending on the viewership, you got a certain amount of ad revenue because commercials would air in between episodes, right? Mm-hmm. So those commercials pay to be there. And depending on viewership, the actors would make ad revenue every time those episodes would air. Now with streaming platforms, people are just paying a one-time subscription fee and actors are no longer getting, or writers are getting ad revenue. They're getting, and if they do, they're getting like 80 cents. 30 cents.
Oh, man.
And people used to live off of the residual checks. You know, you get an initial rate that you negotiate with the studios, whatever that be, depending on your role. And so you know how much you're going to make that day. There's usually a minimum for actors depending on where you are in the cast or how many lines you have or anything like that. If you're a series regular, you negotiate what your rate is per episode, but then they would count on the residual income coming back.
Okay.
So like they would not only get paid for when they worked, but then they would get checks for years. And this even went for commercials, like huge, like Super Bowl commercials. Those would run for so long on cable and you would get a really large residual check. But what's happening is kind of the middleman actor or the like middle class actor is basically getting cut out now. And same with writers because they're no longer getting residual checks, they're getting buyouts.
Now that buyout, that buyout's because of AI now, right?
So AI has a lot to do with it. Oh my gosh, AI streaming platforms has a lot to do with it too, because there's not as much ad revenue on streaming platforms because when you watch Netflix, there's no commercials, Right. So they're not getting regular commercials, regular ads. But before, there was commercials, but AI though is taking a lot of jobs. So there were some, I think, and I don't totally quote me on this, but I think there were some studio execs that they were even kind of bragging about how they could use AI to write a show instead of having a writer. Yeah,
but can AI really put in the emotion that a human being, a human writer can, right? I would think AI just seems plain. I don't know if that's the best way to put it, but it doesn't seem like there'd be the right emotion and life context into some of those scripts.
Yeah, I don't think so because the whole point, what makes us unique as people is our individuality. Thank you so much. I'm still waking up.
No,
I only had 1 cup of coffee today.
I know my coffee maker. Coffee maker, of course, today decided to take a dump. I was like pushing the button. I'm like, no.
After you were bragging about your amazing coffee.
I'm so sorry. It's like
okay.
the best coffee. I can't remember where I get it from. It's this restaurant here in Long Beach.
That was
But
local.
it's hazelnut. Yeah, they make it. It's hazelnut
hazelnut.
beans.
Now you're making me even more sad.
I know. I'm sorry. I was like, and I'm pushing a
okay.
button, and I was like, you got to be kidding me. I was just bragging to Zenna how great this coffee is, and you come over, and my coffee maker is broken. But
That's okay. I'll just have to come back.
yeah, I'll make up for it.
Yeah. Okay, you're going to have to keep me on track because I have ADHD.
No, you're good. You're good. No, because we were talking about AI and then how the studios, right?
AI. So the other thing with AI that's going on, and that's a large reason for the actors going on strike now, is that they're using AI to replace actors. So they are paying actors, and specifically some background actors, for full body scans and facial capture. So they are buying the likeness to these people, and then they are replacing them, the physical person, and they can use their likeness. They're basically signing off their these contracts where these studios can use their likeness and put them in hundreds, thousands of shows.
See, that's bullcrap, right? Because that person should be getting paid every time their likeness is used.
Yeah,
correct?
but now it's not. It's a buyout. So they're like getting, and to them, there's some background actors that don't, it's not that they don't know better, but like if they're getting offered a lot more money than their typical day rate, they're saying yes to these things. And so SAG, a lot of actors are trying to strike because it's like, you can't, it's almost like they're trying to soon make movies with AI. And that's ridiculous because you can't, human emotion is, I don't know. It's you can't replace us.
Real.
Yeah,
No.
you can't replace us.
Can't.
And then not only that, the reason why, like, I'm not union. There's a union for makeup and hair, and acting, and I'm a non-union makeup artist and actress. But the reason why this also affects us is because, say there's a TV show and they're filming like a concert scene, and they would hire typically like sometimes 200 extras. To be in that concert scene. You then have to have costumers, hair and makeup that are also hired to get those people ready.
Right.
And I know specifically from my departments, I'm sure there's plenty of other departments too that are involved as well behind the scenes to make sure that those people are lit properly. Like now, if they replace it with AI, all of those crew members also don't have a job.
Oh my gosh! So it's the trickle down effect. If you don't have all these people working, the support staff, they don't have jobs.
Casting directors, like it goes so far, and so that's why there's so many of us that are non-union that are in support of the strike, because it directly impacts us and it directly impacts our work. Because if they're cutting out all these people and they can just replace it with AI, we don't have jobs.
So it all comes down to money, right?
Yes.
So you have these execs, like the head of Warner Bros, Netflix, right? I saw something. You might have it on your phone, but I saw this like breakdown of the people who own these companies.
Yeah.
And the millions and millions of dollars they're making. And yet they're still trying to take away from the working person who's an extra or an actor, trying to make a way for themselves and put food on the table for their family.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's nuts to me. It almost feels like they're going to self-sabotage themselves.
Well, somebody said, one of the executives was quoted, and I wanted to pull that up, but I couldn't find it in time. But someone said something about the fact that like they're not going to come to any kind of agreements with this strike, with SAG specifically, or writers. I think they said it with the writers, that they're going to wait it out until they all lose their homes.
Jeez.
Yes. And that was a direct, that's a quote that an executive said.
So what message does that send?
They don't care.
To the workers, to the people
they don't care about
who are
us.
working in the industry.
And they're not even the creatives. So that's the thing, is like they are in charge of the money, but they're not actually the ones that are creating the art. We are. So if they don't have us, they have nothing. So that's the thing, is it's like if you don't support your people that are literally the ones that are the idea makers, they're the ones that actually put everything together,
right,
and you don't pay them properly, but then you're sitting on, in your mansion making millions.
Yeah.
how is that even okay? And how is that okay that you make so much more money than the people that are literally the face of these shows, you know? And this is like, this is even, you know, the people like Tom Cruise and huge, they're the 1% of actors. And that's what a lot of people don't understand is like people that are angry about this strike. They're just like, oh yeah, you're so angry from your mansion. And it's like, no. I think this was what I had pulled up too. 87% of SAG-AFTRA union members, they make less than $26,000 a year.
Well, say that one more time.
87% of SAG and AFTRA, they joined that's for theatrical and TV actors, make less than $26,000 a year. And that makes them, they don't qualify for health insurance.
So
87%.
So
13% of actors qualify for health insurance.
They're pretty much taking money from the actors, everybody involved in the industry, who are already struggling and trying to make a way for themselves, and pretty much saying, screw you.
Yeah.
We're going to use AI because it's going to save us money and hopefully save more money in my pocket than the millions that I'm getting so I can keep living the life that I want to live. I think that's absolute bullshit.
Oh, it's horrible. There's actually a Black Mirror episode about it.
Oh, there is.
Salma Hayek.
Yes.
It's literally what we're going through.
That
episode is crazy. Did you watch it?
I watched that episode. I watched it twice because I was kind of like, the ending, I don't want to give too much here if people haven't seen it. But how it ended, kind of like, I would say, the last 20 minutes or something like that, or 30, my mind was blown. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, that was
reality
weird.
and things switching in there was wild. Yeah. But, I mean, I hope that's not the way of the future because...
It essentially talks about the same thing.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt, but...
No, you're fine. But the way I see it, you know, the job, at least my day job and what I do as a firefighter, we're here to help people.
Yeah.
You know, and what we've learned as far as people who are in charge and our leadership, you have to take care of the people below you and make sure they're taken care of and comfortable if you want them to work harder, do well, and put more out for your department or whatever you're pushing.
Yeah.
If you don't take care of them, it's going to start suffering right from the bottom up. And the next thing you know, you're going to collapse.
Yeah.
And to me, in my view from the outside, that's not going to work in the long run. You're going to have shitty shows. You're not going to have people buying into this stuff because it's not, you could see it now, right? Excuse me. We talked about it when you got here. The shows that are being pumped out now aren't that good anymore.
No.
And I had no idea with Netflix, because I always wonder, there's good shows that I've watched on some of these streaming channels. I'm like, yo, why did they stop shooting these seasons? Like, this is a great show.
They're not making money from it anymore.
Can you explain that?
Yeah.
You told me it's about subscribers, right?
Well, yeah. So think about it. Like, say Netflix has a Netflix original, right? Yeah. Like Stranger Things. Stranger Things is an exception to this because they're still continually making seasons.
Right.
But when Stranger Things came out, it was one of the top shows out there, and it brought in a lot of new subscribers, which that's how they make money is subscriptions, monthly subscriptions.
Yeah, because there's no ad revenue on Netflix.
No.
So how I understood as you said it is
there's no commercials.
Right. The only way for Netflix to make money is new subscribers.
Yeah, I mean they also, you know, people pay for Netflix buys shows and makes it a Netflix original, even though they didn't create it.
Okay.
So there's other ways too for them to make money because people will sell them their stuff, but the main way is subscriptions. And so like what they would do, they've canceled so many amazing shows after 2 seasons because they're not bringing in the same percentage of viewership or the same percentage of subscribers, because once those viewers come on and subscribe, then they usually stay. So then after 2 seasons, there's not as much incentive because it's not bringing back new people. Right. So they cut the seasons.
It's crazy to me because how many new subscribers can you really get on platforms? Netflix has been around a long time.
Yeah, I mean, Netflix used to be a mail-in service. Do you remember that?
Oh, I totally
That's where
remember.
We're aging ourselves. But like you used to be able to I remember going on and picking which DVD we wanted to rent, and then it sent it to you. Which is so crazy to see where it is now.
Yeah, I don't see how this is going to be sustainable. You would hope that the people in charge would try to work with the union and work with each other and understand that people need to make a living wage. And this is another thing we talked about, the residuals. One thing that shocked me that I saw, and I would say this actress, Mandy Moore, she's definitely the upper tier of acting, right?
Yeah, she's in like
pretty good
one
money.
in the 1%. Yeah.
But she showed her residuals or her royalty check. It was like 31 cents.
For This Is Us. Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
I thought it would be like a Friends thing where you hear the Friends actors are getting like $20 million a year in royalties, right?
Yeah.
So you think
that's because it's still running on cable.
Right. And I would think someone like Mandy Moore, she's going to probably get, I wouldn't say 20 million, but she would get a healthy amount because she put herself out there. She's acting. That's her likeness. That's, she created that character, right? She brought it to life. And it was 31 cents. I'm like, dog.
And that's from streaming. Because I think This Is Us, though, is a cable show.
Okay.
So she probably is still getting residual checks that are higher than that.
Right.
I would imagine. I don't know. But I think that was her streaming residual check.
That's terrible. That's terrible.
It's horrible.
Yeah. And for people, I've heard this a lot because it's kind of a talk, right? People are talking about the strike going on. And it's like you said, well, what are these people, what are they striking for? They're living on their mansions in Hollywood Hills.
No.
I want to say it's not.
No, most actors have like 4 or 5 side hustles.
Yeah.
So one of my friends actually booked a huge show on Netflix. He, I think, booked 2 or 3 episodes. And then he went back to a serving job because he makes more as a server than he did from that job. I think I pulled it up that the average, where was it? I think let me find it. Something like the average day rate is like for actors. Oh, dang it. I can't find it. I had it.
Well, I think
here. Did you know that some SAG actors working scale? So the scale is like scale rate. So there's SAG scale, which is like the minimum.
Okay, that's minimum wage, right?
What they minimum rates. Yeah, for SAG. Could work on every single episode of a now typical 8 to 13 episode season and still not hit $26,000 earnings threshold to qualify for SAG healthcare insurance.
That is such that.
So they could work an entire season as a season regular and still not make $26,000 in a year, which would qualify them for insurance.
Why for me, I like to talk about it. It's important to me because I would say I'm a creative. Mm-hmm. I love the arts. I love creating music, writing music, whatever it may be, acting. People don't understand the amount of time that actors, actresses, people in the industry go through as far as the classes you take, all the auditions that you do, the amount of time you got to drive up. If you don't live in LA, driving to LA, the amount of rejection that you get. And the fact that you keep fighting and fighting and fighting for these roles and you finally get it. And it's like, here's $200.
No, like, so
someone, like, dude, no
someone
way.
on an 8-episode show, like back in the day, if someone booked 8 episodes, that would be a life-changing amount of money for them.
Right.
And it would hopefully lead to more jobs. But because now, while there is, in a way, there are more opportunities than there ever were before because of streaming platforms, but we're making pennies to what it used to be. So an actor that books an 8-episode season, that probably shoots for a couple of months minimum. But during those months, they can't be on anything else. So then if they only make less than $26,000 in the 6 months or whatever it is that they get booked out for that job to shoot that, then the rest of the year, they're not, that's all they're making for that much time.
Well, and
they can't book multiple things at the same time.
Right. But you take that $26,000, right? Let's be very real.
Yeah.
Now you got to take the percentage for their manager or whoever else is getting right. And then also their taxes. Agents take
anywhere between 10 to 20%. If they have an agent and a manager, they both equally take 10 to 20%. Ooh. It's not, they don't split 20%. Right. They both take it. And then you have taxes taken out. And then if you do make enough and you do qualify enough to make healthcare, then you have your healthcare that's taken out. If you don't, you have to pay $500, $600 a month for your healthcare because you have to go private insurance. It just and then
it compounds.
And then the cost of living, the average person in LA has to pay. You can't even get a 1-bedroom apartment anymore for $2,000. Studios are going for $2,000 a month.
Yeah, so that $26,000, they're probably going to bring home, let's be real, maybe $12,000 of that.
So then they have to have 2 other jobs on the side, which unfortunately then impacts their availability to audition. Right. And it's just a really nasty cycle. That's why I got into makeup and why makeup has taken off for me more than acting, because I've auditioned a lot over the last 10 years. I've gotten really close to some things. I've booked some things here and there, but nothing substantial. But like, it's not sustainable. And makeup was making me more money, and I saw an opportunity there, so I jumped into it.
Right.
Because you can audition for 1,000 things and still not book one.
So let's reverse this a little bit. Go back.
Yeah.
Did this all start? And this is not to get political at all, but did this all kind of happen because of the pandemic and things weren't being filmed on location? Or
I think the pandemic sped everything up.
So it was kind of in the works.
Yeah, AI has been around for a while.
Okay.
Like a long time. But I think they saw opportunity because they couldn't film with large groups of people.
Okay, right. Okay.
Yeah, because of the pandemic. So like we couldn't have 300 extras on a film set unless they were all sequestered and all got COVID tests. And
right, which is more money for them.
Yeah, the cost of COVID you have a COVID compliance officer, which was someone that was on a hired position for them to make sure that everybody got tested and then also make sure that everybody stays 6 feet apart. That was a whole job role. So that's like a whole position, and multiply that by thousands of sets and tens of thousands of sets. So then like during that time, if you could only film with 6 people on set or 15 people up on set and they all had to be 6 feet apart from each other, you can't have a scene with 300 extras. So they started using AI to fill in those bodies and fill in those extra positions. And then I think they just saw friggin' dollar signs, because then they're like, oh, we didn't have to pay. We just had to pay a special effects person, to do all of this, which is expensive, but not as expensive as hiring 300 actors.
Yeah, it's a bummer to see that the industry's going this way because, I would think as a leader, at least, if they can come to an agreement and just take care of the union and the actors and pay them what they're due, you're going to get a better product. You're going to get people reaching for more, people taking it. I would say not taking it serious now, but they're going to perfect their craft even more. Because when you feel like you're being taken care of, you naturally want to put more in.
Well, think also about why you love your favorite actor. You don't love them just because of how they look. Like, you like them because they're a personality. Like, you love Nick Cage.
I love Nicolas Cage. His carpet's in here.
I know. I can't. That blew my mind when you're like, this is Nicolas Cage's carpet. I'm like, imagine the feet that have been...
You know how many drugs are in this carpet? I told him, like, I'm not vacuuming. I mean, I was like, we're not washing this carpet.
I know. I told you, I was like, don't lumen all this thing because who knows what you'll see. But... So you love Nick Cage, right? Because he's Nick Cage.
Yeah, he's wild.
And he's a unique personality. There's only one person. It's just like there's only one Leonardo DiCaprio. Yeah. You love that person because they're fascinating. They're weird. They only date women that are under 25.
What's up, Leo? My man, dude. You might have step those numbers up, buddy.
I like the birthday cakes where women have started to have birthday cakes on their 26th birthday that says officially too young or too old for Leo. It cracks me up. I think I wish I was that creative when I turned 26. But I love it. Yeah, anyways, you fall in love with that personality because we're all unique. Everybody. You could have someone that looks like the same person, but everyone's going to do something different and make different choices. That's why actors are still able to get famous this day, because everybody comes from it from a different place. If you have a computer doing that, it would never fully capture. It's just like you can tell when they CGI. Did you ever see they used AI for... The Irishman on Netflix. It was
they really?
with I think Robert De Niro, and they made him a lot younger.
Wasn't Joe Pesci in that too? Right, Joe Pesci.
Yeah,
yeah.
And they made him look a lot younger, and it's so distracting because you can just tell that it's computerized, that it's not the real actor. Yeah. And it threw off a lot of people for the movie because you're just like, oh my gosh, he just keeps staring at
how young he looks.
Like the AI, what? Like you can just tell it's not makeup. It's, it's not real. And that distracts you because you can tell that it's a animation, pretty much. So, the technology has gotten really far with deep fakes and all of that stuff, but it still never is going to fully replace the individuality that I think an actor brings. Yeah. So it's just like no one wants to sit and watch, I don't know, at least I don't. Maybe I'm speaking for everybody,
no, I mean,
but
you're completely right because I can tell. I mean, it's my sister. She's in the hair and makeup union. And she's done very well for herself. You know, she got a couple Emmys, one for Mad Men and some other shows she was on, and she did hair for a bunch of movies, Disney and all that. But she's out of work right now.
Yeah.
You know, and I love her, and she's like, man, she's been out for a while, and she's a little bit stressed. Like, dude, I need to work, right? I need to work, put money on the table, and you'd hope that they don't wait for people to lose their homes. Like, why would you want the people under you working for you to lose their livelihood and lose their homes? Like, that doesn't make sense to me.
Because they're sitting very comfortably in their multi-million-dollar mansion, and it doesn't affect them. They're so desensitized. It's very selfish. Oh, it's so selfish. It's very greedy.
Yes, yeah.
And it's just honestly sociopathic.
Well, yeah, and it's sad too because, you know, for me, going to the movies as a kid, it was special.
Yeah, you know, it's so magical.
I would imagine it's probably both. I mean, I didn't grow up with too much money. We go to the movies, we couldn't buy candy and do stuff, right? So it's
we
whatever.
snuck it in.
Yeah, oh yeah, did Skittles.
My mom would like stick it in her purse. She's like has 2 cans of Squirt, and she'd literally like bring in soda, snacks.
Oh,
everything.
totally, same thing. And going to the movies though was special.
Yeah,
it was fun, and even before my brother Luke passed away in 2004 in a car accident, but that was one of the things we loved to do, especially as teenagers. Was like, hey, we get to go to the movies with mom, and his was like the Lord of the Rings. That was the last movie I ever saw.
Oh
was
my gosh.
Lord of the Rings. But being in the movie theater was always something so, it was like an escape.
Yeah.
You get to be away from life and your responsibilities or your heartache or whatever is going on. And you have an hour and a half to 2 hours of just watching something that you love and that you're interested in, whether it's horror, romance, comedy, dramedy, whatever it may be. And it's like that way for me now. Like when I go to the movies now, I still love it.
And
like
you walk out sometimes of like really impactful movies. I don't know about you, but you walk out and you feel like you could, conquer the world.
You feel inspired.
Yeah.
And so even now, like on the movies, when I go, I buy the extra large Diet Coke. I get the big old popcorn. I grab because it's an experience and it's fun. But I feel like they're taking that away.
Yeah.
And I don't think people realize. Yes, the entertainment industry. There's some people make millions of dollars, whatever, and actors can be crazy. They can be cool, but that's like that in any industry. Okay.
Yeah.
But you're gonna start taking that away from people, and really, it's one of those things. I still like to watch movies, whether it's Netflix, Hulu, or going, because it is that hour or 2 hours out of my life. Excuse me. I can escape. Yeah. I can get involved with a character, and I'm gonna be super real, right? Everybody watching, I watch all Nicolas Cage stuff, even though it's like I'll be real. Some of it's pretty bad. Yes. Some of it, like the other night, I was flipping through and I watched Left Behind with Nicolas Cage.
Oh my gosh, I don't think I've seen.
It's cool. It's good. Yeah, you could tell I was like low budget, but you know what? I still enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Because that's my actor. That's my guy. He's crazy, right? His hairpiece looked nuts.
Oh my gosh.
But my thought is like, you're going to start taking those moments away from people of inspiration, of being able to escape life, all because of greed.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
So you want more money for yourself.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Even though you're not the person creating any of it. Yeah. I mean, it's the whole, I hope that this just kind of busts open everything. I hope it does. I hate to say this because it is directly impacting my work. I do hope that it lasts the rest of the year, that they like really feel the economic part of this, of the industry not happening. But the whole thing needs to change because of inflation. I think I told you this before this is a little sidetrack, but not really. It's applicable. I told you this before we started, that the one streaming show union job that I worked on was for a Hulu original show.
Okay.
And I was the key hairstylist for 2 days.
Let's go.
Which I was so excited to book because it was a union job. And I was like, I'm going to get union rates. Because it was considered streaming, it used to be on a separate contract than if it was cable. So streaming, they would try and wiggle their way with contract by saying that because it was streaming, it costs less money to make. So I was paid for, and I found out too that the minimum day rate or hours, usually we're on a 12-hour schedule. Okay. So we make overtime after 12 hours. But usually when we're booked by day rate, not necessarily hourly. And they'll say, we'll pay you X for 12-hour workday. Mm-hmm. They paid me, I found out it was a 14-hour workday because it was streaming. So I didn't get overtime until after 14 hours. And the pay rate for the key hairstylist for that job was $250 for the day.
$250 for 14 hours of work?
$250. And this was for a Hulu original show, key hairstylist.
Yo, there's something wrong here. That's below minimum wage.
I had to go into work. Yes. I had to go into work at my call time was 4:15 in the morning. For makeup, we get something that's called pre-call, meaning we're called before everybody else because it takes us longer to do
Does that
some of our
count as
jobs.
pay if you go in at 4? Yo, dog, what?
It's crazy.
Okay, how is that legal? You can't do that in the normal workforce.
No.
You can't just pay somebody below federal minimum wage or even the state here.
No.
So how aren't people up in arms?
It's
well, I guess
the
they
contracts.
are, right?
They save themselves with these contracts and they're horrible. But I couldn't believe it. But do you know what? The thing is they know people want to work it. So I worked it because
a good point, yeah.
I was trying to get union days because you have to qualify. You have to work 30 days in a year, union jobs in order to qualify to join the union. Right. I was so desperate to try and join the union that I was like, I'm going to take $250 a day so that I could say that I worked on this show so that I could hopefully get into the union. But it's so messed up because I'm like $250 at 14 hours and it is hard hours. We were shooting at a cemetery and we were shooting in a morgue and they had to tell some of us crew members that we had to leave because we were shooting in the basement of a morgue and there was dust everywhere. Yeah. And turns out it wasn't just dust. It was from the crematorium.
Okay. Hold on a minute. Wait a minute.
Yes. So I was standing in human ashes for 14 hours
That's so crazy.
for $250.
I'm speechless right now.
Yeah.
I'd be pretty pissed off.
That was our working conditions.
I really hope that the union holds out.
Yeah, I do too.
I hope people are able to do it financially.
Yeah.
I really don't want I don't care if you're an actor or you're a garbage truck driver, a teacher, you work in public service, like you don't want anyone to ever lose their home. That's terrible. Or their livelihood.
No,
it's a
People
terrible spot to be in. So that's why I was wondering, I'm like, man, I hope there's some middle ground that they can hopefully meet somewhere and come up with a solution.
I hope that they can come to an agreement. Right now, everything that they've proposed has just been like, you'll see the proposal on one side. I would tell you all to go on Twitter and find it. It's crazy because they'll print it out, the exact proposal from the meetings. You'll see what SAG is proposing, and then the whole right column is just rejected. Like some of them they're not even trying to come back with a counter offer, and if they do counter, it's like a fraction of what SAG is asking for.
Well, do some of I'll say it as heavy hitting actors will say, like I will say big names for me like Brad Pitt, Tom Cruise, something like that. Do they have any leverage to go into some of these meetings and try and talk and help, or is it?
Well, so the face of SAG right now is Fran Drescher from oh my gosh, what is that show? The Nanny.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she's the face of SAG right now. So she's a lifer. Like she's been acting for a long time. She's a big name.
Yeah.
They don't care. Like, she stands up. She's the one that's speaking for SAG. She's representing all the actors and she's been very vocal about it. And I've seen a ton of big actors post about stuff, like huge actors, posting about everything that's going on and being very vocal about it. I don't care. They make too much money to care.
God, everything comes down to money.
Yeah.
Everything's always comes down to money.
I know.
It doesn't matter where you work, what industry you're in. It's always freaking money.
I know. It's so frustrating.
It's terribly frustrating.
And the cost of living in Los Angeles is unbelievable. We talked about this earlier.
Yeah, when we talked about it, and we talk about the day rates
and
percentages that your manager and booking agent get and all this. And my first thought is like, how are some of the average actors that are going through and working either extra roles or they're not being paid like the top tier, how are they making it? That's my thought. I'm just like, dude, I'd be stressed out.
They have 3 other jobs. That's what I did when I moved out to LA. Right after college, I worked at a restaurant. I was an actor and I did makeup on the side, and I drove for Lyft. Like I hustled. I did whatever I could because rent is so expensive. And that's the thing is they own their own businesses. They do separate things. They have podcasts. They're on social media. They try and do whatever they can to make money because it's just not sustainable by itself. But the problem is that, we kind of all joke in the industry that we're all kind of masochists because we love the industry so much and it consistently beats us down, but it's because we're so passionate about it.
Right.
And like, we can't see ourselves doing anything else. At least that's where I'm at. I literally could not imagine doing anything else in my life other than something in the arts. And it's horrible because it, unfortunately, is one of the hardest, not hardest, but it's not a very, you don't get what you put in.
Yeah.
And that is what's really, really difficult.
Well, I don't know what the solution is. I couldn't tell you.
Me either.
I'm
more discussions like this.
Yeah.
Having people talk about it, not just having people see actors be mad and think that we're all whining about stuff. It's like, no, this goes for any other union.
Yeah.
Any other person that is just trying to exist in this world. It just happens to be in a, pretty industry that's like, it's seen as vain or whatever. Yeah. But it's just like you said, like movies are so impactful. TV shows are so impactful. There's so many people that are doing stuff like documentaries that are so important that are literally changing, everything. Literally everything. Mm-hmm. And so for people that are angry and they just don't understand, it is because they're coming from a place of not understanding.
Oh, totally. There was a conversation I had with someone the other day. I was at work and same thing, right? Wow, these actors, they're so selfish. And this and that. And I said, okay, cool. Do you realize how much entertainment you take in? Oh, I don't care. It's not my problem, right?
Yeah,
and then he goes to sit down, picks up his iPad and clicks. I'm like, don't click on Netflix. If you don't care, don't watch, bro.
Yeah.
Well, no, I mean, I was like, hey, dude, everyone's got to make a living wage here.
I know.
And people don't understand that industry and the hard work and the sacrifice and the training that you go through and the rejection that's over and over, and then to finally make it, and you think you make it, and then you're getting peanuts.
Yeah,
that doesn't make sense. I mean, like you said, I think is the top 3% people in SAG actually make a living wage?
No,
I think I've read
13%. So 87% of actors make less than $26,000 a year.
I just
yeah.
I don't know what the solution is. I think it's a bummer. In my industry, working as a firefighter, I've been doing it for 16 years. We're union, and we can't strike. That's something you still have to have personnel on that fire engine to protect the public. That's what we're here for, right? When we sign that dotted line, no matter what happens, even if it means we lay down our lives for you, that's what we're here for. We're here to give you a second chance and take care of you. So we can't strike, even though we've had problems with unions and leadership trying to get pay increases because the cost of living goes up. We still have to show up and go to work. We still have to put ourselves in situations that are very life-threatening at times. So it's really interesting looking at union in the movie industry, film industry, and then looking at union from my perspective, because I'm like, damn, we can't even, we don't show up to work. We get in trouble. People might die. We have to be there. It's so different. But I understand. Different. I get it. You're just like, dude, pay us.
Yeah.
We're working hard. We're sacrificing. We're getting educated on our craft. We're trying to make it better. Take care of us.
Yeah.
What else? It's not that. My thought is it's not that hard. Pay people.
No,
but there's so much greed nowadays.
So much.
It's incredible.
Yeah,
everyone the people
just
who deny
more.
you your raises or what you want to do, and you look at them, you're like, this dude's living in a $2 million home, not worried about a thing. He doesn't want to give us a $2 raise. Get the fuck out of
here.
More
than
dude.
$2 million, $10 million. They make so much money. It's crazy. Yeah, I don't really know what the answer is either, other than the fact that hopefully they'll come to an agreement of some sort. And I think people need to just keep talking about it and not afraid to be loud, and also crew members that are not union, supporting union members.
You have to be unified. That's one thing I know, being a union member, you have to be unified.
Yeah.
Everybody has to be on the same page, and if we're going to shut it down, everybody shut it down. Whether you're union or not, don't go to work, don't do it.
Yeah.
You want to really affect change in people's businesses or industries.
Yeah.
Don't work.
Yeah.
And then they can't make the movies. They can't put, whether they're selling, let's say they're selling water bottles or something. I don't know. And they're making them and the owner's not treating you right. Walk out.
Yeah.
Fuck, you don't want to pay us?
Which
you know
is
what I'm saying?
exactly what they're doing. I mean, luckily, like just how you said that not everybody can strike because you guys would, somebody has to be there.
Yeah.
The union is understanding of that. So there are some people that are still allowed to work. Like I'm still allowed to work on non-union projects.
Yeah.
Select projects, commercials under a different contract, so we can still do commercials. I also work at PlayStation. Video games are under a different contract. So they are understanding that people still have to somehow make some money.
Yeah.
But do you know what A24 just did? That huge production company that if you watch that,
A24. What is that?
If you watch any of the Oscars or anything like that, they're always like, I want to thank A24. It's technically like an independent film company. It's not one of the like main studios, but they're producing everything these days. A24 just agreed to all of SAG's terms so that they can continue to work. And it's that easy. They just said, yes, we'll match everything. We'll do everything that you're saying. And so anyone that's working under A24 is able to do that now. And they're a huge company. I have to let me see if I can Google really quick.
Is A24, I mean, when you say they agree with SAG, okay, who did A24? I'm sorry, I want to get this straight here.
So A24 is an entertainment company. But it's an independent entertainment company. So it's not like Warner Brothers. It's not Sony Pictures. It's not Paramount.
So was it good that they agreed to all of that, or was it bad for all of you that they agreed for that? As far as
no, it's good. So they did. So it's all of the So I just looked up. It's like Lady Bird, Moonlight. Those were like Oscar-winning films. They were huge films.
Okay.
But they're considered it's an independent film company.
Okay.
But it's good because it just shows how easy it is. I think it's a good thing that they matched everything because it's kind of like a FU to the big studios because they produce Oscar award-winning movies
as an independent.
And they're able to match everything that SAG is asking for. So if they are making as much money as they can and they're able to say, yes, we'll let you do this. We'll support you.
Yeah.
And they still make less money though than Warner Brothers or any of those. So the fact that they can say that and match it, it's like, it should be that easy.
We can only wish it was easy.
I know.
Golly,
I could talk about this for hours.
No, I know. No, it's. I wanted to bring. That's something I wanted to hit on here because I'm big on celebrating the everyday person, man.
Yeah.
And even actors, there's still middle class actors who are making a living wage, and they still matter. Their homes matter. Putting food on the table, their success matters. And I feel like nowadays, people are not looking out for the middle class. They're not looking out for your everyday person, and we're suffering.
Yeah.
And I hate to say it, but it almost feels like they're going to make the haves and have-nots if they don't watch it.
Yeah.
And it sucks. It really does.
We're just like in a consumer-driven society right now. I mean, you can't even open TikTok now without seeing ads to buy something. Like everything is so consumerism right now. And I'm hoping that it's going to balance out. I mean, it will have to. This is definitely going to change the economy for California, the strike, because California banks on the film industry.
Right? Mm-hmm. Didn't a lot of the film industry move to Georgia too for a time?
They did for a while because there was tax incentives. So California got rid of the tax incentives to film here. Basically, they taxed too much in order to film. So everything moved to Canada and then moved to Atlanta and then Louisiana. A lot of stuff moved down there.
Doesn't surprise me, right? You got a lot of big industry that's left.
Yeah, but now
Toyota, Nissan, I think SpaceX, everyone's bailing out of California.
Yeah, but now they just tried to bring him back. So Netflix was building a huge studio in California.
Really?
So they started to bring film back because I remember when I graduated college, everybody was saying, don't move to LA, move to Atlanta because there's more work now because of the tax incentives to work there.
Okay.
Or it's less money to shoot basically because California charges a tax. You have to get permits to film and different things like that. So, but they finally kind of woke up and now it's a little bit cheaper to film in California. So stuff is moving back. People are shooting shows in LA again, which they couldn't afford to do for a long time unless you were a major network. But now they're doing this. So it's like, I don't know. It needs to, I think this will be hopefully a big wake up call for everybody. And if we can get the public behind us and understanding what's going on, and that it's not just a bunch of vain people and their millions of dollars, that it's actually like the person that you would never recognize in a grocery store that's being impacted.
Right.
You know, it's the person that is carrying a tray in a restaurant, you know, or that has like 2 lines, like that person is really impacted. Or the person that books, you know, CSI, like regular things like that, but you wouldn't know them, you know.
Yeah, I think it takes educating the public, you know, what you guys get paid, what you go through.
Yeah, and all the crew members behind it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Like
there's so much support that happens in the industry that needs to be paid and be taken care of. Because once you start taking away, you know, I'm saying people,
makeup,
you're using the likeness and paying you a small amount, but then you can use it forever.
Yeah, it's crazy.
You're just taking away from jobs.
Yeah,
that's the thing. Like, we got to keep the jobs going here. We want to keep the economy alive and doing well. And it's just it's a weird time. It's a weird time everywhere. I don't know what the solution is to all this, but I feel like things are so divided. It's incredible to see. But on a happier note,
yes,
you went to is it Africa, right?
Yeah, I went to Kenya.
So you went to Kenya, and this was a missions trip, right?
Yeah,
I really want to talk about it because it seemed like it was very impactful for you. So, what got you inspired to go to Kenya and do what you did?
So I'll be really honest, and I'm open to talk about this, but I've been very anti-missions trips for a while.
Okay.
I had taken quite a bit of a step back away from church. I was raised Christian, but we've talked about this, but had bad experiences with church. And so I wouldn't consider myself very religious anymore. But my mom went on this trip with her church last year, and she came back and she was like begging me to go with her again. And she said that it was just so amazing, and that the church that she went with particularly was doing so much good, and that they were actually doing stuff constructive. It wasn't, because my problem with a lot of missions trips is I saw a lot in college. I went to a private Christian university. I saw a lot of white people going to places like Africa and taking pictures with little African kids and basically being like, look at how good of a person I am. And all they were doing was, you know, talking about God, and then they leave. And then it's just, that's what colonialism is, you know. It's like, that's what they were doing, is coming in and, you know, not really doing much and getting this like star treatment and then leaving. So that's what I thought that this trip was going to be, and it wasn't. This church in particular works with an organization called Missions of Hope, which is if you've ever heard of sponsoring kids.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this is a child sponsorship school and organization. And so we went particularly to work with, or specifically to work with, Missions of Hope. But then we also had a team of doctors, dentists, construction workers. The doctors and dentists saw over 500 patients.
Yo, what was the amount of time that they, like a couple weeks?
We were there for 2 weeks. So, and they go every year.
That's a lot. They did a lot.
Yeah, they did a lot. And they moved all around. So I was mainly in Nairobi, but they also worked in Turkana, which is kind of a remote village outside of Nairobi. And they mainly did, not only for the kids that were a part of Missions of Hope from the school, but for the community and the villagers. So they were doing free dental work, free checkups.
I love it.
Most of the cases were for malnutrition that they were seeing. So they were working in more of the impoverished areas. Kenya is not all impoverished. It is, you have like Beverly Hills type people driving Rolls Royces, and then you have slums. So it's not that the whole entire, I think that's also, people think like Africa, like, oh, there's starving kids in Africa. There are, but there's also a lot of money in Africa too. But unfortunately, I feel like the States just shows kind of the impoverished sides of things. But we were there specifically to help with the people that needed help. And we were working with a team of social workers to go around to some of the neediest families in the area and building beds for them. So there's 7 major slums that surround Nairobi, or that are in and out of Nairobi. And Nairobi's like LA, like it's a big city in Kenya. It's huge. Or the county is huge. And some of these people live in like tin roof homes. They're called shanties, and they're like 8 by 6. and they'll have a family of 7 living in there.
Jeez.
And they're all living on less than the equivalent to less than $1 a day. A lot of them don't have work. A lot of them is multi-generational, where they have passed down this specific shanty from, grandmother to granddaughter. Like, it just keeps getting passed down. And one of our groups worked with, we were all split up into different groups, and we were all assigned a social worker, and then the social worker assigned us to a family to help. Okay. And we went into 9 different homes where we built bunk beds, 3-level bunk beds for them, because some of them just didn't have access to beds, or if they did, they were like soaked in urine, or like, one of the families was kind of ostracized because the child had special needs. And for some reason, culturally, if someone has special needs, it's seen as a curse. Oh, so the community kind of tends to ostracize those families because they think the child is cursed. Okay. So our team went in there and helped this mom. She had, I think, like 5 or 6 kids by herself. And their house was at the bottom of a river in their village, and anytime the river overflowed, it would flood their shanty. But the river is what they use to drop all of their waste.
Oh no, really?
Mm-hmm. So our team members were literally stepping in like feces. Wow. And they cleaned out the whole bottom, put all of her stuff in plastic bins so that it was protected. We gave them a food bag with like flour and a bunch of stuff so that they could cook, and then built a 3-level bunk bed so that her and her kids could not only be sleeping on a mattress and not all crammed in one bed, but off the ground. Right. Yeah.
Wow. So you're there for 2 weeks? 2 weeks.
Right? So we did that, and then we traveled to a village. We built 2 houses out of mud.
What?
Yeah.
What? Okay, so how was that experience building a house out of mud?
That was so cool. I loved it. After visiting Turkana, I was like, if I came back here, I think I would want to spend 2 weeks in Turkana. But what they do is they use the natural resources in the village. Most of the Turkana people is one of the oldest tribes in Africa. The language is not written down. It's only passed down from verbally.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. So we went in just to kind of help. Like they already, we're not there to change their lives by any means. The Turkana people have been operating a certain way for a very long time. Yeah. It's a polygamist village. It's their culture. So we weren't trying to change their culture, but there was a specific family that the social worker had reached out to us that said, this woman needs some help. She has 8 kids. She had a 18-month-old baby, and she had lost her last baby to malnutrition. Oh, and this one, they were pretty sure wasn't going to survive. So we got the baby on a feeding program, is going to the hospital and getting like a feeding tube and different things so that the baby can make it. But then we built them a 2-bedroom house because it was a family of 8.
Okay, so how long did it take for you to build a house like that?
2 days.
That's it?
Yeah, that's it. So we came in, because we had a large team. We had like 45 people. Okay. So one of the days we came to finish the house, so the whole team was there. So we flew from Nairobi to Turkana, and there was a Turkana team that was there the whole time, maybe about 20 people. And so what they do is we have like local villagers know how to do this. So they'll frame the house, and it's framed out of sticks. Okay. And then they use the natural dirt that's there. Ends up, when you mix it with water, it becomes clay, and it well insulates it because it's very hot there. It was like 100 and something degrees when we were there. Whoa. I was sweating beyond belief. And that was their winter. Like, I was there during June is considered their winter.
Get out of here. That's their winter?
It's 100 degrees. And so what you do is you basically shovel up the dirt, and then you mix it with water, and then you stomp on it with your feet.
Wow.
So I was up to my knees in mud and stomping, and then you make like a mud pie with your hands, and then you shove it in between the sticks, and the sun dries it so fast, and it insulates the house.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
I love that. Has that trip kind of grounded you, changed you in a way, made you more grateful for what you have? I mean, it had to have had an impact.
Yeah, well, because also while I was there, I taught a makeup class to a cosmetology school.
Addict, that's what I'm talking about, girl.
Yeah.
Let's go.
So when they found out, when I had first interviewed, because I was like, I want to go. I want to join a construction team. Like I want to do something with my hands and know that I'm making a positive impact. I don't want to just like talk to people about God. Like I want to do something, especially because I'm not like very comfortable like talking about faith. And so I was like, I want to make sure that I'm completing a project and like actually can see it with my own hands. And so I'm repeating myself. So when I talked to them, they asked me what I did for work, and I told them that I was a makeup artist, and they were like, well, we have a cosmetology school and a cosmetology program. Would you be interested in teaching?
They have a school there?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. They were like, would you be interested in teaching a makeup class? There's a need for it. They don't have a makeup class.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, sure. So I was able to organize, I reached out to some brands that sponsored it. And then some other makeup artists helped, but I had traveled with over 150 pounds of makeup, enough for 15 women to have a whole complete makeup kit, personalized makeup kit.
Wow.
So they were having a 26-piece kit for each woman. And
excellent.
And then I created kind of a textbook for them to go over sanitation and skincare and how to apply makeup. And then I taught the class for 5 hours. I taught them all about the products, and then I did a demonstration, and they all did makeup actively while I was doing the demonstration, and I walked around, and it was so cool to see them finish their makeup, because some of them had never done makeup ever in their lives.
Yeah.
Because it's, especially for in the community that we were in, there's not a lot of money. I was working in a area where it's just all the shanties, so most of these people like don't have a lot of resources. So it was so cool for them to feel beautiful. Some of them had never seen makeup on their faces before. And 2, to actually see how much they picked it up was so rewarding. I was like, oh, wow, I must be a good teacher, because they really did such an amazing job. And the teacher was so excited. And so she decided she's taking my class and then now taking what I taught and taking it to the other schools in the community.
Yeah.
And we decided I'm going to come back and teach another class there. And then at the same time, my friend who I went to college with is from Nairobi, Kenya. She was an acting major with me. She's a famous actress out there.
Oh, really?
So when I was there, I met up with her, and she wants me to teach a makeup class for the film industry. So I'm trying to organize next time I go back to do kind of a week of volunteering and then a week of work.
Gosh, that's huge. I mean, one, I want to say I'm proud of you for putting yourself out there and doing that.
Thank you.
To travel and experience other cultures, I've traveled quite a bit and been to third world countries that aren't, surfing, having a good time, whatever, but it does bring a lot into perspective.
Oh yeah, it completely changed my life.
Yeah, it'll change you, because you start to realize like, maybe I don't have it so bad.
No, not at all.
You're like,
yeah.
dude, I'm actually doing pretty good.
Yeah, it helped me coming back, because I have been strapped for money. I had to file for unemployment, like a bunch of things. But then I was like, oh my gosh, but I'm coming back to my 1,900 square foot house, right. I'm coming back to my car. I had such a culture shock coming back, because I was like, wow, we can just walk into a grocery store and buy food.
Yeah.
And that isn't accessible for everybody in Kenya, at least for the people that I was working with.
Yeah. Some years ago I went to Fiji, and I ended up staying in villages with people, not hotels. And I'm talking villages where it's like maybe 10 walls, dirt floors. Yeah. And then something funny that happened to me. I remember I was so tired from one of the days I was surfing, and it's like, oh, you can stay with us. And, there's barely any roof on this house, but these people were so giving.
Yes.
They're so giving. And I remember going into the room, and it looked like a bed, but I didn't know it was a table, and there's a blanket on it. And you know how, usually when I come home, if I sit on my bed, I just drop.
Yeah.
Right. And I dropped, and it's like, bang. And I was like, oh, no, it hurt my butt so bad.
Oh, good.
Yeah. I was like, dang, this is not a bed. But it really showed me humanity, the heart of people, and people can be so happy and not have barely anything, but yet give you so much and be so, giving with what they have, and they don't have anything. That really touched me. It really, really did. And I've experienced that a few times in Taiwan as well. And, you come home and thinking, man, I need to open my heart a little bit more, because these people were so not selfish and so open and so loving, and just with the little they had, they were so happy. And I'm thinking, man, I need to change some things here. I think I live in a little bit of excess. But it sounds like you had a great life-changing moment doing that.
Oh yeah, that was my biggest takeaway too. I mean, we were, while I'm painting this picture, it sounds like these people would be so sad, but they're not. They're literally the most joyful people. And you walk into their home and they're like, please have a seat. Can we give you food? And it's like, I know that you didn't, like, you had to work really freaking hard to try and even eat. Like, and then part of what we did when we built the beds, we would bring them a meal. We would bring them pilau, which is like a very common dish out there. It's basically like rice with cumin and meat. And, we brought them like an entire huge plastic box, a Tupperware, huge Tupperware of pilau for them to have. And they wanted us to eat with them. And so we would serve ourselves like, smaller portions because we knew that whatever was left over was going to be for the family, for them to eat for the rest of the week. And they would get offended that we took so little. And they'd be like, that's not enough to feed you. You need to eat more. So then they started saying, like, you need to take a Kenyan portion is what they would say. And they would make us fill our plates, even though we were staying at a hotel. Like we had resources. They had nothing. And they wanted to make sure that we were fed.
Yeah.
And it was
nothing,
just,
but they're giving you everything.
Everything. Yeah. They wanted to give us everything.
It's powerful.
And it was so humbling, and it made me realize, same thing. I came home and I'm like, oh my gosh, the things that I stress about, it's not our fault that we were raised in this country, and it's not our fault that we have the resources that we do. So you shouldn't feel guilty, but it's good perspective to be like, wow, the things that I'm stressing out about, it's not that important. Yeah. And family is so important. And like they really take care of each other there too, and they want to take care of their community. They all band together. If there's an orphan child, the whole community, the village will come and take that child.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
And it's just like, it's so beautiful to see. And I'm just like, we don't do that. Like people get in fights with their family members and don't talk to their family for the stupidest things.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. And we put our parents in nursing homes. Like that's, unheard of over there. Like you would keep your family member for the rest of, their life. And so, yeah, it's a lot of perspective for sure. Yeah.
I think you're right. It's a good perspective change. And I think even for me, I'm kind of the same with you. I would say I'm definitely a prodigal son. Do I attend church every Sunday? No, not by any means. But I do have my own faith. And in my own faith, I know it's love, grace, forgiveness, but always as well helping those in need. Now, I'm not saying go broke trying to help people.
Yeah.
But give where you can and help them. And those experiences, they just change you. To me, it shows me more of what, I don't say I'm not religious. To me, religion that's not me. I have my faith, but in my own faith, it's one of those things where it's like, these are people that are also created in the eyes of God, and He loves them. Maybe different country, different place, but they're made in His image, and He loves them. So what can I do to change my perspective, or even do better for these people? And it's just it's a hard hitting moment for me. At least the things that I've been involved in and seeing, even in our own country, the homelessness issue that we have, that's just blowing up, and with the rise of the inflation, people
people can't afford to live.
They can't afford to live. Yeah. And you're just like, dude, there's so much going on, but having that perspective change is huge. I think it's important. And I always encourage people to travel more. And go to London or these big places, but also travel to countries that aren't well off like we are. Yeah. People call it third world country, whatever you want to say, but go there and experience life a little bit. See these people. It'll change your heart big time. And I'm sure might have had you're same as me, but it might have had a good impact on you, I would say, spiritually.
Yeah. I mean, it was just I think I just felt so much love while I was over there, and it was good perspective change. It was also really cool to see a community of people come together and have one focus, which was to help in any way that they could. Yeah. And it was great to, even for my own, like, I think anybody going on a missions trip goes with a little bit of selfish intention too, of like, I want to see the world and I want to experience this thing and I want to, maybe feel good. But I realized that like they changed me, I think, more than the impact that maybe I made on them.
I'm sure.
And which was just so huge, because I'm just like, you have no idea the impact that you also had on me. Like while I, maybe did some good while I was over here, like you changed my life too. Yeah. And that's I think that's the coolest thing ever. Cause I'm like, okay, here's these people on the completely other side of the world from me, different skin color, different background, everything.
Yeah.
And yet we're both standing in the mud, mixing this mud and building a house together. Like it was just the coolest thing ever. I just thought it was so beautiful. And then even when I taught the makeup class to hear about, you know, the teacher was complaining about some of the girls not really taking school seriously and how it impacts her, and how she is really passionate about her job and she wants everybody to show up and graduate. And I'm like, okay, like you guys have the same exact struggles that we have, you know? And so part of my lecture was to tell them that you need to work hard if you want this. If you want to make money, you have to work really hard at this, and you have to go to school. You have to finish your education. And so it was just kind of funny because I'm like, oh no, we are so much the same. We just live in a very different world.
Yeah. When do you plan on going back out there?
I'm going to try, if I can't go back before next June, I'm going to go again. I think with this church, I really wanted to go on my own. But the benefit to going to with this group is that we have a lot of resources while we're out there. So, and a lot of help to get there. Yeah. But if I can't go back before June, I'll definitely be going back next June.
Gosh, I think it's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
I would say keep it going. You never know what that could turn into for you.
Well, and that's kind of the hope. And I've actually already had some other makeup artists that, you know, they're like, we want to go, we want to help you. Like, oh my gosh, the class seems so amazing. And I think it could turn into something pretty big because they just, at least the particular program that I worked for, they just didn't have that resource. Yeah. So if we can help create, you know, a resource, and you know, makeup is universal. Makeup is it can do wonders for a woman's confidence. It can be a great job. You know, there's so many things that it's beneficial. I taught about skincare, hygiene, you know, a bunch of stuff. But
there's a video I saw a few years ago, but they went to a country kind of like Kenya, and they pulled us, like the moms and elderly women, out of a village, and they said, hey, we're going to do your hair. Yeah. We're going to do your makeup. And it may sound weird. I actually got emotional watching it. Yeah. Because these men and women, they're all working so hard. Yeah. They have to work so incredibly hard to provide and do well. Yeah. They don't have time to try and look pretty or do their hair. And they showed them before, and they showed the process during, kind of sped up, and then after, and then they were crying. They said, thank you. I haven't felt this beautiful in years, or I've never felt like this before. And just to see them radiating in their confidence build up, I was moved by it. I'm like, wow, just that little bit. Now I can say a little bit. I mean, it takes time to do hair and makeup, but just doing that for another person. Yeah. You didn't have to buy them a house and do this, but you just built them up internally. And you show them a little bit of love and care, and maybe even hope that, hey, somebody cares. Yeah. And then see them radiating and so happy. It was like, I remember watching, I was like, oh my God, this is beautiful.
Oh, I cried so many times. One of the homes that we worked in, the mom was, she was an alcoholic, and she had a son with special needs, and she drank because she didn't really know what to do. And she was very young, and she didn't have a lot of help. And when we were there, she literally collapsed in my arms sobbing. Wow. Because she was so shocked that people cared about her. Yeah. And she just was hysterical. Like she couldn't stop crying. And she just kept looking at me like I just can't believe that you want to help me. Right. And a part of the reason why we are trying to make their home look nice is because there's a sense of pride and a sense of accomplishment you have when you walk into your home, no matter how small, even if it's a shanty in Nairobi. If you walk into your home and you feel a sense of pride in your home, it's motivating, and it's a trickle effect. You know, like it's just like how they say statistically, if you make your bed every single morning, it actually it makes you more productive. Mm-hmm. We tried to apply that by saying, okay, if we can really spruce up their home, they come home every day, they take pride in it, it's going to want them to continue that, and it's going to become a trickle effect, you know? Yeah. And that's what we were kind of hoping to do while we were there.
I think it's awesome. For me, it goes along the lines, too, that whole grace, love, and forgiveness that I tried to live. There's a lot of people who may not agree with me on this, but I see it now even in our own country, probably around the world, right? Mm-hmm. Just because someone doesn't believe in what you believe in, they're a piece of shit. Mm-hmm. Or because they love someone of the opposite sex, or because they want to be transgender. I'm like, well, you know, everyone's life is based on choices. They can choose to love who they want. That's not my business.
100%.
I don't care. But for me, at least in my own faith, it is my duty to love them.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And
if you believe in Jesus, that's what he stood for.
Oh my gosh, yeah. There's a lot of other things politically that go with some of that stuff that some probably don't believe in, whatever. But my thing is like, I'm going to accept you as you are.
Yeah.
Whether you're poor, rich, whether you are homosexual, gay, whatever you want to call it, lesbian, transgender, like personally for me, I don't care, but I just want to make sure that you feel loved and accepted. Now, how far you push that with certain things, I don't know. There's certain things that are happening. I'm like, you guys, like, I get it, but you're kind of pushing some shit on people that doesn't need to happen, but you still got to love them. You know what I'm saying? Like, you still got to accept these people because there's this huge divide now. You know, it's like, it goes with politics. Well, if you're not left, you're a piece of shit. If you're not right, you're a piece of shit. I'm like, how about this, guys? Can't we just find a place in the middle and agree to disagree?
Because polarized ideas make money. It all really comes back down to money.
Good. Yeah.
If you polarize a topic, that's where the money is.
Yeah.
There would be no difference between Democrat and Republican if there wasn't abortion fight. You know, like
I know.
There wouldn't. Yeah. So it's all. It literally all comes down to money.
Yeah. It's a sad state to see what's happening. Just I guess in our country and world, but it's beautiful to see people like you and others that are doing it now. Like there's Doctors Without Borders.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
This team, like the doctors in particular, I was just so amazed, and the dentists. Like a lot of people in Kenya, their teeth are brown because they have a really high fluoride amount in their water.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And so it causes their teeth to brown. So the dentists were there. They mainly did extractions because with cavities, like
you mean like pulling teeth, right?
Yeah, they were pulling teeth, but they got to do some cosmetic work while they were there and help some of these people with their smiles. And like, just imagine, you know, like you go from having brown teeth to white teeth. That's going to just boost your confidence, and it's going to help you in the workforce out there, particularly because then they can tell that you're not coming from a village. Because unfortunately, there's a lot of prejudice when it comes to where you were raised in Kenya.
No shit, really?
Yeah, if they know that you came from a village versus like, you know, well, it's harder to get like an office job or something like that because they know where you came from. All based on
where you were raised.
Yeah. There's not really much of a middle class. There's an upper class and a lower class. Yeah. And Kenya is a lot in debt to China. So there's a lot of Chinese businesses that have now come in and taken over Kenya.
I've read about that. Yeah. Building their infrastructure.
Yep.
Yeah,
but the problem is
it's for free, but they're like, now you owe us.
No, that's the thing. They set up this infrastructure that's not sustainable. Like, you know, Kenya is a newer country. It's only been colonized for like the last 60 to 80 years. So you've completely made these tribes that were functioning for, you know, a million years at this point, or thousands of years with their own currency, trade system. And then all of a sudden you come in and, you know, that's the argument with colonialism, but you come in and you build up this infrastructure, change their currency, and then leave. And then you're like, okay.
Yeah, they can handle it.
You can handle it. And they're like, wait a minute. We don't know how to do any of this.
Right.
So that's kind of the problem. But, you know, it's hard because some of those problems are too big for us. So like we go in and do what we can, you know, like fresh water, like we can't do much about that, but we can go in and bring dentists and, you know, like do different things to try and help where we can. Cause some of the problems are just too big for us, but yeah.
Girl, you've done a lot of cool things the past couple of years. I'm proud of you. And
thank you.
I know you have other things in the pipe. We're not going to talk about it right now, but once you get certain things set up, you need to come back and talk about it. Because I am in full support.
My business venture.
Yes. I always tell everyone, just go for it. Try it. Whatever it is. You never know what something can turn into unless you just try, right?
He's talking about a business venture that I'm not willing to share about.
Yes, not yet. No, we'll get there. We'll get there. But
maybe like a year from now, I'll be like introducing my, you know.
I think it's a great idea. And,
thank you.
What I always try to tell people starting podcasts or businesses, don't worry about it being perfect. Just start. Yeah. Just freaking go for it.
Yeah, that's what I need to do because I'm a perfectionist and I always.
Oh, I know. I've worked with you a few times. You're definitely a perfectionist.
Yeah, you know.
It's like just go. Just
I know.
Start.
Yeah.
So, but Zenna, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. You are like family. I love you. I'm so proud of you. I know it might sound weird coming from me, but I'm thankful to have you as a friend. It's so cool that you have done what you've done. You are a hustler. You work your butt off. You work. If there's anyone I know that works hard, it's you. You're not afraid to put yourself out there and be humble and work hard, and then also go out and serve other people. So it's people like you who want to celebrate and say, well done, keep going.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for having me. It's so good to see you again, too.
Yeah, heck yeah, girl.
Right back at you. Everything that you just said.
No.
Right back at you. You're the hardest. Are you kidding? Like this podcast, we were just talking about how you started with like a plastic table, and now you've got like a studio.
You remember that plastic table in the kitchen?
Yeah, I think I was on episode like
you early on
2 or 3 or something like that.
You were way. I would say sub 20 at least.
Yeah,
something like that.
Like it was very early.
Yeah, I mean, like
and now you're like over 100 episodes, right?
Yeah, I think you'll be like 157 or something.
That's
or 155. I don't know, somewhere around there. I gotta look when we.
Congratulations! A lot of people can't be that consistent, so.
Yeah, it's like anything. I don't think some people are like, oh, cool, you have a podcast, but many don't realize it's just like anything that's in the arts and creative and you build your own, it's a lot of work behind the scenes.
My gosh,
people don't understand how much work goes into us to even get to this point where now we have this whole studio,
cameras
and lights and everything going, but it's trial and error.
Yeah.
You listen to our first episodes, I'm telling you, some are probably good, some are probably terrible. I mean, you just learn, and you learn how to talk to people. You learn, hey, we need a different setup, and then you start getting more downloads, and just escalates from there. And it's cool to see it grow. I love putting things together and watching it flourish.
Yeah.
Even when it comes to someone like you with your business ventures or friends, people need help. Yeah, well, I have nothing to hide. What do you need? Like, I can try to help you, get you some resources, but you win, I win. That's my thing. It's like you celebrate when it's time to celebrate your friends. You mourn with them when it's time to mourn, and you work hard with them when it's time to work hard. I mean, everybody should be winning. That's my thought.
That should be on a coffee cup.
Let's do it. We'll put on a shirt. Let's Go Podcast.
There
You heard
go.
it here first.
Yeah,
you heard it here first, everybody.
Merch. Let's go podcast merch.
I love it. But we usually do a Let's Go on 3. So you ready to do this?
Yes.
All right. 1, 2, 3.
Let's go.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening in. If you liked what you just listened to, please leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcast and on Spotify. Please follow us on YouTube, on Instagram, and on Facebook. And a big shout out to Stephen Clark, our sound editor. He's a huge part of this team that is unseen. It's 89 Barbers, our first sponsor. Look good, feel good, be great. That's 2 locations, Orange, California, and Long Beach, California. Book your appointment online, 89barbers.com. Bye, everybody.